Kris Tyson of the Mr. Beast crew had a ton of evidence surface about horrible behavior with how they communicated with minors, as well as a past of really disgusting shit. A lot of people are calling the Season 7 writers of 2024 internet drama lazy because they're reusing a similar plotline. A lot of people drew comparisons to Dr. Disrespect recently being outed for talking inappropriately to a minor. There are tons of screenshots to showcase exactly what was being said to someone who was between 13 and 14 years old at the time, and it's fucking gross. It's completely unacceptable. Some of them were just public tweets right under everyone's nose. So, Ava Tyson was an adult at this point, Lava was a child. And saying things like, I posted some fire nudes for you, please no share, and then other shit like, but not $5 pathetic JK kissy face, they seem to communicate a lot, even sending Snapchats. So here's one that says, coming for America, and then goes on to talk about being in a group chat and everything. And I've seen a lot of people try and cope and deflect saying like, oh, it's just edgy jokes, people are blowing this out of proportion. What a bunch of fucking nonsense. That's a load of hooey. That's dirty barnacles. That's ridiculous. Under no circumstances should an adult be communicating with a child in any inappropriate manner whatsoever. Edgy jokes between an adult and a child are still fucking gross. That's not like the slam dunk defense that some people seem to think it is. Under no circumstances should an adult be in a group chat with a bunch of children sending coming for America pictures. Like, that's still bad. That's still horrible. That's still really fucking weird. From what I can tell, most of the screenshots and a lot of the compiled evidence comes from this YouTuber, Prism42. This seems to be where most of it started, and since this video dropped, there's been a lot more screenshots that have come out with all kinds of really bad things that were being said to or about minors. I've only shown a couple here, but there's quite a bit more, and they're all just as bad, if not worse. Like, for some reason, Ava Tyson had a habit of calling a 13 or 14-year-old daddy. Like, you can't just write that off as being like quirky, inappropriate, edgy jokes that people are blowing out of proportion. That's unacceptable. It's indefensible. Now, the 13, 14-year-old in question for a lot of these messages is someone that has come forward to give their own accounts of the situation, and according to them, they don't believe that they were groomed or anything bad was done on the part of Ava Tyson or anything like that. And I'll just go ahead and give my take on it here. I talked about it on stream, and I'm not trying to be some kind of armchair psychologist because I'm just, at the end of the day, a little reptile brain idiot. But I really do feel like in a situation like this, it's very difficult to process just how inappropriate or unacceptable something was when you lived it. I imagine that it's very difficult to view this as the person that you communicated to so closely for so long was actually evil or doing things that were wrong. But in reality, no child should have this kind of relationship with an adult where you're joking about sending nudes to a minor or making edgy jokes about coming for America. So while the person here might not feel like a victim, it really is completely unacceptable that Ava Tyson would be communicating with them like this. It really is, no matter how it's spun. Now, it is important to mention that right now, most of the evidence is screenshots, so I guess there is the chance that some could be faked, but some of them seem very hard to fake, like there's a video going through a Snapchat conversation with Ava. There's also confirmed things that were publicly tweeted from their account over the years, which I'll get to now. And it was also revealed that Ava Tyson had a history of being a Shadman enthusiast. Since all of the tweets have been deleted, it makes it very difficult to find the times that they communicated with Shadman or talked about Shadman and the art, but I did find this from Mudahar's video, who went to the Wayback Machine and showcased this tweet. And Mudahar censored it because the character does not appear to be over the age of 18. For those of you that know that name, that might have just triggered a Winter Soldier moment in your brain with your eyes rolling into the back of your skull, because it is so foul. Shadman was an artist who drew child porn. Now, when you hear that, a lot of people think that you're talking about lolly or lolly hentai type shit, which is characters that look like little girls but are actually 5,000-year-old vampires. Like, that's the meme. Fucking sipping from their Mountain Dew going, uncultured swine. You see, it's not actually a real child. This is a victimless crime. This may look like a 4-year-old girl, but you don't understand the lore. She's actually coming from a sophisticated line of goblin ogres, and she is over 400 years old. So it's completely legal, and you're weird for thinking that it's weird. But with Shadman, he wasn't drawing lolly. He was drawing real children sexually. So one of the most infamous cases was when he drew Keemstar's 8-year-old daughter in a pornographic setting. That actual fucking lunatic drew porn of an 8-year-old girl. That's not hearsay or anything. That is something that actually happened. And you know what's even crazier? I talked about this on stream. A lot of people supported him publicly. Like, a lot of people defended that. Back when Shadman dropped that revolting dog shit, there was a lot of people that were pumping their fists saying, "Go Shadman! It's Keemstar, who cares? Doesn't matter, he deserves it anyway. Shadman, do you take requests? Can you do this person's underage daughter next?" He received applause for drawing child porn. Let that shit marinate for a moment. So anyway, Ava Tyson has publicly tweeted about lolly, and in particular, there are tweets of Ava Tyson talking either to or about Shadman. A lot of the tweets are gone now because the Twitter account has been nuked, but there are archives of a lot of them. And one thing that still persists, and one thing that a lot of people have been showing, is that Ava Tyson may have actually commissioned a piece from Shadman, or at the very least, purchased a piece from Shadman. There's a clip from a Mr. Beast video where there is Shadman art hanging on the wall, belonging to Ava Tyson. I censored the close-up of the art for obvious reasons, but this is something that is irrefutable. The only question about Ava Tyson and Shadman's connection is whether or not a piece was commissioned or purchased. But at the very least, a piece was owned by Ava Tyson. And I don't think there's any wiggle room to just explain this away as some kind of innocent whoops-a-daisy moment of being ignorant of what the art was. With Ava Tyson having publicly talked about content and art like that, and then also owning a Shadman piece, I don't think it's some kind of coincidence. Like, I don't think it was an accident and they didn't know Shadman drew child porn. I really don't. And then yet another disturbing video surfaced where they had actually made a video a long time ago that linked to revenge porn of Jeanette McCurdy.
The story is she sent pictures to her boyfriend, her now ex-boyfriend, and he leaked them out. And but the link's in the description if you want to see them. I mean, I'm not endorsing people to go look at somebody else's private business, but I know that you know, people might want to see them, so it's there if you want it.
That's crazy. That's astonishing. Sharing revenge porn publicly and trying to spin it like, well, some people might want to see this, so for you degenerates, I've posted the link in the description. If you want to check that out. But you'd be weird to do that, and I'm not endorsing it. That's unhinged. Completely unhinged. So all of this started to hit the mainstream. More and more people started sharing screenshots as well as other chat logs, all kinds of things with a history of communicating inappropriately with or about minors. And in response, a couple hours ago, Ava Tyson did make a statement, and this is what was said. "I would like to apologize for any of my past behavior or comments if it hurt or offended anyone. It was not my intent. Seeing recent events, we've mutually decided it's best I permanently step away from all things Mr. Beast and social media to focus on my family and mental health." That is kind of a textbook non-apology. It doesn't address anything. It doesn't talk about anything. It's just like this blanket boilerplate statement about stepping away. There's no denial of anything, no claims that some of the information is false, made up, fabricated, a lie, a fib, a bunch of malarkey, nothing at all. You would really think that if any of the information was wrong or faked, that would be one of the first things that Ava Tyson would want to set the record straight on. But that didn't happen. Even if it was something like needing more time, I really feel like that would have been expressed in the statement, saying, need more time to talk about all of these things that are incorrect. But again, that's not there. So they're assumed to be all correct at this point, and they're indefensible, the things that have come out here. As I was rendering this video, Ava Tyson dropped more tweets claiming that no one was ever groomed, and then states that the victim vocally supported that that's false. I again, already told you my feelings on that. I really don't think a child who has this kind of relationship with an adult would ever really recognize just how inappropriate it was because it became so normalized to them, which it never should be. It's a horrible thing, and there really is no excusing it in my eyes. Going further, there's an apology about unacceptable social media posts and then saying that it was edgy jokes and that it was unacceptable humor, that it's like a thing of the past and it's been misconstrued into things that didn't happen, and then not wanting the accusations to impact hundreds of people who work at Mr. Beast, which is why Ava Tyson has stepped away. I just don't think you can write off a lot of those social media posts as edgy jokes or edgy humor when you actually owned art from an artist who draws child porn. That's not a joke anymore. Haha, bought some child porn art. Like, that's not exactly side-splitting comedy. Like, I don't really think you can just go ahead and hand wave that as being edgy and like old humor that you've grown from. And then some of the tweets about it and like requests, what's the joke? Like, what's the punchline of that? I really don't think you can just say, oh, it's just edgy jokes that are blown out of proportion. Sorry if people are offended by it. Like, that just doesn't really work to me. As of right now, there's been no response from Mr. Beast or anyone else on the team about all of this. So it remains to be seen whether or not Jimmy or anyone else on the team knew about these things or what's going on there. But as of me making this video, there's still no response yet. So this whole situation is obviously horrible. And there's a little bit more I want to talk about here, and it's something I didn't even think I'd ever need to talk about, but I guess we've reached this point in the internet where this is necessary. I've been being attacked on Twitter, just fucking dogpiled, about my ignoring the situation and refusing to speak on it, being too much of a coward to talk about all this, which is crazy to me. And then people saying like, oh, where was the same energy for or where was the same energy that you had for Dr. Disrespect here? And it's crazy that I even have to talk about this. So last night during stream, this story was still breaking. Things were still coming out about this story. And I talked about it on stream last night. The same day all of these pieces of evidence were surfacing. I talked about it immediately. Once I became aware of what the evidence was out there and what the claims were and what was going on, I was talking about it right away. And I even posted a video that is highly edited and short, nice and concise, about the whole bare bones of the situation and my thoughts on it for the second channel, so that way even if you have the biggest brain rot and can't focus on a video for long, you can still finish that whole video and see just how bad this whole Ava Tyson situation is. So I talked about it immediately, but Twitter didn't see that video, and the ones that did wrote it off as, oh, he's only going to put this on his second channel because he's afraid to put it on his main channel. He didn't do that for Dr. Disrespect. He was like that with Dr. Disrespect. You are provably wrong. All you had to do was activate a few fucking neurons in your noodle. Check my Dr. Disrespect video. I posted it at, I think it was 9 p.m. on June 22nd. June 22nd is when my Dr. Disrespect video went up. The allegation against Dr. Disrespect was on June 21st. So what happened is, that allegation came out. I talked about it on stream. Dr. Disrespect made a statement as well the same day that I talked about on stream. Then the following day, almost a full 24 hours later, I made the video talking about it. And in this situation, it is the exact same timeline. I was talking about it as everything was unfolding. I even had a video go up on the second channel going over everything that was coming out, and now I'm making the full video about it 24 hours later. It's the exact same speed and same energy as the Dr. Disrespect situation. And the main person who started this lightning rod of accusations about me ducking it and refusing to address it is fucking Sneako of all people.
Yo, look out, Moist Critical is not going to go talk about the Kris situation because he wants to have the Mr. Beast collab. Bro, you're going to talk about every other trending situation, Dr. Disrespect, Sneako, anything that goes viral goes on your main channel. Kris, the associate of the biggest YouTube channel in the world, you do a 4-minute clip on your second channel. Stop coping and be a journalist if you're going to be a journalist, or just say that you want to have the collab. Stop lying.
Jesus Christ, the fucking drool there is gonna drive me insane. I need to go put on the fucking bathrobe here and give him PTSD or something. What do you mean it is a 4-minute clip? Because I did that so people like you who don't pay attention long enough could see my take on it and also get the bare bones information of what makes it so horrible. That's the reason it's a 4-minute clip on the second channel. It was never going to be the only video I made talking about it. I was always going to make a full breakdown of this because it's bad. It's a horrible situation. So yes, you're right. I do talk about like big big trending bad shit like Dr. Disrespect or like Cody Ko most recently. I don't know why people thought I wouldn't talk about this. I knew Cody Ko far more than I knew Ava Tyson. I talked to Cody Ko at length one time on his podcast and then one other time in DMs. Ava Tyson, I met 1.5 times. I first met them after a poker game with Mr. Beast. They showed up right at the end, right before I left. And then at the most recent Mr. Beast video, also right when I got out, Ava Tyson showed up and I talked to them for a couple of minutes. But I never knew Ava Tyson very well. Cody Ko I did, and I still wasn't afraid to talk about how awful his shit was. So I've never been someone to fucking shy away from a bad situation like this just because I know or am familiar with the person that it's about. So I don't know why people thought that that would be the case here. And also, for the millionth fucking time, I'm not a journalist. I'm like the Z-tier stupid journalist, like this actual layman fucking CTE-riddled idiot that reports on stories, and I talk about them usually to make jokes about them. In rare cases, and recently it's been very common, there's serious stories that I am very passionate about delivering and talking about how shitty they are. So, like, in a situation like this, yeah, this isn't really a story that I joke a lot about because it is serious. When there is a victim who is a child here, that's something to take seriously. But I'm not a fucking journalist. Most of the shit I talk about is the most inconsequential mumbo-jumbo ever, like aliens in warp drives, or that recent story about how scientists discovered hippos can fly because they get airborne for a split second, literally like 1/2 of a frame. They're able to get all 4 little legs off the ground. And I talk about those stories and joke about them. It's just talking about shit to joke about it for the most part, except in cases like this, where it is a serious story that I talk about. Now, Sneako, I hope you're ready for the cold water here, because I'm going to be brutally honest with you. When this story broke, I thought for sure I would have actually bet money that you would have been some kind of contrarian talking about how this is actually not a big deal and everyone who's pretending to be outraged about it is actually just a hypocrite. Because you have been on this crusade for a while now about not agreeing with the age of consent. So I really thought you'd be talking about how, oh, this is just like Dr. Disrespect, who you ran hard defense for with this imaginary 17-year-old you cooked up in your head based off of one fake email from an anonymous source. And I thought you would be going that angle again, saying like, oh, well, that 13-year-old was probably very mature.
Age of consent should be maturity. It's not even 18 in most states. Why do you even believe that? It's because in Hollywood, it's 18, so that gets pushed everywhere. Most places, 16. And if you question that, then they call you a pedo. I believe the age of consent is the age of maturity. It should be called the age of marriage. Age of consent implies that you're gonna have out of wedlock. I think it's better that people get married at 16, 17 than to have a bunch of premarital until they're 30 and they're washed up and then they get jaded and they're on birth control and they have dried up eggs. I think that's better for society.
He's so pseudo-intellectual that he actually argues for things that defend pedophilia. That's fucking ridiculous. And when challenged on this, it's even worse. So there's an older clip now, it's quite a few months old, where XQC and Destiny actually challenge him on this right to his face, and holy shit, it's bad.
You see how you want to answer the question? You see how he's going to yap and not answer the question? I'm going to ask the same thing when you're done. Go ahead.
I just answered the question. I just told you.
What was the age?
I just told you at a developed age.
Sneako thinks you should be able to fuck 9-year-olds. That's what Sneako thinks, and he won't answer that question honestly. Or he's going to have to give a different answer, in which case he's updated his morality. He's updated his views, and that's really uncomfortable for him. You don't have an answer to any of this shit, bro. Go back to fucking that fucking corner in London where you're getting roasted by year 1 debaters on fucking Christianity. This is retarded. I don't know what the fuck you're doing in here.
Okay, so you can leave the call. I wanted to go talk about this word.
I don't want to leave the call. I like hanging out here. I've talked to a lot of pedophiles in the past, so.
Okay.
Okay, Sneako, I'm actually curious now. What do you think the age of development is?
I just told you. It depends on where you are. It depends on the world.
Then at what stage do you think something is developed in? What stage of development? Because there's a lot of stages of development.
It varies.
It varies. It varies on what?
I think it varies on the age.
It varies on the age?
It depends on where you are.
You need to have set ages for that. There are stages of development. As a child, an adolescent,
You can hear him start to snivel in the background there as he's sucking up snot from his nose, getting cooked, and his brain is fucking overheating, malfunctioning, trying to formulate some kind of response to the easiest question in the world about what he thinks the age of consent should be. He keeps talking about the age of development and then can't even put a number on it. So everyone, please feel free to ask Sneako what he thinks the age of consent should be if you want to see a human being fucking glitch out and malfunction like an Oblivion NPC. Can't answer the most basic question in the world. That is concerning. You realize how deranged that makes you look, Sneako? That makes you look like an actual danger to society, that you don't agree with the age of consent and try and argue around it. That's what every pedophile ever that Chris Hansen talked to would do. Like, you're a fucking weirdo. So for you, of all all people, this fucking putrid vermin, this absolute slimy worm, to have the gall to say that I only care about the Mr. Beast collab, thus this whole story is just relegated to, you'd never use that word's too big for you. This whole story is just put on his second channel where no one's gonna see it because it's safer that way so he can keep the Mr. Beast collab alive. He's afraid, he's a coward for it. He has no problem abandoning his morals and defending blatant pedophilia, brushing it under the rug as long as it means it keeps the Mr. Beast collab alive. For you to make insinuations like that, and even claims like that, is fucking unhinged, considering you make actual pedophile defense arguments constantly, and you have publicly put on the clown makeup and worn white knight armor complete with the shield to defend Dr. Disrespect when he himself publicly admitted to messaging a minor inappropriately. It's fucking insanity. It makes me want to spit that I even have to talk about this, but it became such a huge, fiery issue on Twitter about me specifically that I felt the need to have to include this in this video, which should have been entirely focused on everything Ava Tyson has done and why it is so shitty. But now I've had to dedicate a sizable chunk to talking about these claims against me, about how I'm not going to talk about it and was not going to talk about it until pressure from Twitter forced me to, even though I had talked about it as it was developing and even mentioned on stream I was going to make a video on it. So to bring it all back to what should actually be the focus, the Ava Tyson situation and how horrible it is, I believe that it is an unforgivable thing that has been done. Talking to minors inappropriately is horrible. And having this kind of continued relationship with a minor where you're sharing edgy and inappropriate jokes back and forth and being in group chats and voice chats with children and saying gross things around them is so weird that it is not okay under any situation. It's disgusting behavior. And publicly supporting an artist who draws child porn and even owning art from that artist and talking about art like that and the revenge porn, all of it is very fucking bad. It's horrible. I'm not pulling any punches here on my feelings around it. So yes, I wanted to talk about this, and that's really about it. See ya.
What's up with all the pizza?
Uber Eats is giving away $10 million in free Domino's pizza.
What'd you just say?
Yeah, $10 million in free pizza.
Say that again. Shorter.
How about 10 milli?
Oh, I like that.
Your money. That's a lot of millies.
10 milli in free pizza. Order Domino's now on Uber Eats to claim your free pizza.
Get that bag.
Today's story is on a YouTuber that I'm positive no adult knows or cares about, but it's just been quite some time since our last meaningless YouTuber beef that I thought this one was at least worth talking about because it's a nice little treat. It's beginning to feel a lot like 2016 with this one. So to break down the situation briefly,